Well, it was one small step for one man that may spark a giant leap for the next generation. Dr. Thomas Reiter is ranked among the top 25 astronauts in the world for his total time spent in outer space. And today he stopped by a local high school to share the moments he says were out of this world, as Eyewitness News reporter Jon Coker shows us.
Dr. Thomas Reiter is an accomplished German astronaut and the first of his country to perform a spacewalk. After a detailed career including more than 5,500 orbits around Earth and more than 209 total days in space, he counts down to every opportunity he can share his experiences with the next generation. Today, he joined a delegation from San Antonio's German sister city, Darmstadt, to prepare the students of Cass Tech High School for liftoff.
They could be the candidates maybe once to put their foot on the surface of Mars.
This year marks 50 years since Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. Dr. Reiter was only 11 years old at the time, but he knew then that someday he'd be an astronaut.
For me, it was a dream. I never thought that I would be able to fly to space, and then this opportunity passed by and I took it.
Now these young people dream as they look up to Reiter to chart the course of their future.
It was inspiring to listen to his amazing words. It was surreal. It's really inspiring to hear all the small details and just how he felt, and I just want to feel the same thing, I guess.
According to Dr. Reiter, the possibilities for this generation are immeasurable. The students today have more technology in their pockets than Neil Armstrong had in his rocket. From Cass Tech High School downtown, Jon Coker, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.